Hi guys, so something I've wanted to do for quite some time, and that's make a water diorama with a two-part epoxy resin. As I've never been able to find any that have been decent, and I've never been able to work out how to do a nice sort of surround so I can take the thing out. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do here, and this is what I'm going to be showing you how I've done. Is a sort of a sunken ship creature water barrels diorama. Yeah, I know what I mean. Anyway, so cracking on. So the first thing I need to do is, well, get some miniatures. And I absolutely love all the stuff that's been done by, well, Print Minis. So they're over on My Mini Factory, there's a link down below. And as you can see, they do a whole variety of sort of vehicles, terrain, armies, soldiers, weapons, all that kind of good stuff. And if you sign up to them, you get 35% off what it costs to obviously buy stuff. Or you can become a patron and you get, well, you get a shed load of miniatures and stuff each and every month, which is awesome. So it's this sewer monster I want. I've already got the boat that I printed out from them in last week's video, and this sewer monster would be just perfect. So the great thing with 3D printers is you can print things off to whatever size you want. So you've seen in last week's video I printed the boat at half the size, and this time I printed the sewer monster at, well, just over 2 times the size. As well, I want him to be a lot bigger than the boat because he's the thing that's going to be, well, pulling the boat down. So I've already had a little snip at some of the tentacles, just as I want them, well, they were kind of in the way, as obviously I want the boat to be sort of very close to the sea creature, and as I say, I want it to look like it's sort of pulled down the back part and a tentacle is going to go in through the window. So where I have cut the end bits off, I need to sort of fill them, so I'm just using this 2-part cheap, I always forget what this stuff's called, and I always need you guys to let me know in the comments. The reason I don't know or I forget what this stuff's called is because I no longer have the boxes it came in. Yeah, there was some deal on and I bought loads of this stuff, but yeah, the name escapes me. But it's certainly great for filling in bits. So there's one bit filled in, but say I want the tentacle to be pushing down the boat, and unfortunately, well, the boat is actually raising the creature off the floor. So I'm going to do a little bit of drilling and making a nice big hole in the boat, and this is where that tentacle is going to sort of sit nicely, so then the creature will sit flat on the floor. And talking of the creature, I'm going to paint it in a nice simple way. So normally I use the Colourforge matte black to prime all my miniatures, or I have got a white, but the other great thing with the Colourforge stuff is they do a variety of colours, which is just pretty cool. So the creature I've got is quite big, so I thought rather than painting it normally, I am going to sort of prime it in the purple, and that's going to be its kind of like main base colour. And I'm going to keep the paint job fairly simple to this. As you can see, I'm not really going to use any speed paints. I'm just going to sort of paint the thing kind of as normal, I guess, if there is such a thing as a normal way of painting. But then I'm going to use a variety of washes and a bit of dry brushing on this, just to sort of give it a bit more character, a bit more texture, and shading and all the rest of it. So I have to say I'm a little bit apprehensive about using the 2-part sort of epoxy resin, as well. The very first time I used it, I think it was the very sort of start of this channel, but the stuff I had, you couldn't do deep pours with it, as it basically got really hot. And the one time I did use it, it pretty much melted the little diorama I had made. It made all the paint sort of come off the miniatures and evaporate, and it also made the plastic perspex that I'd put over it to sort of keep all the resin in, yeah, that bowed and warped. So yeah, I do get a bit nervous when I'm doing sort of things that I've not done before, especially when obviously it's taken quite a bit of time to do all the prep work, as in painting the boat, painting the sea creature as you can see here, and then get everything ready just to pour the resin in and, well, watch it all go terribly wrong. But I'm trying out a new resin, so yeah, fingers crossed. We'll get to see how that works and how it looks in just a moment. So that's the creature all done, and I've also sprayed him with like a gloss varnish, again just to help sort of keep the paint colour in and to give him that sort of slimy, well, slimy wet look, as well he's going to be a sea creature, so yeah, he should be wet. So that's him done, that's the boat done, the little hole is there ready for his leg to go in, and so that's the rough sort of shape and look of how I'm going to have him. But just before we get on to the fun bit, or the scary bit of the resin, I'm printed off some little barrels, as well. I'm sort of seeing this as a kind of a cargo ship, so I want these toxic barrels to be, well, part on the ship, part in the water, as yeah, I wanted to have fun and mess around with some fluorescent paint. Again, obviously you'll see that coming up a bit later, although you kind of saw that at the beginning with me putting my UV light over the resin paint or even the fluorescent paint, and it kind of gives it a shine. So yeah, putting off a variety of barrels, obviously putting some like labels on and some good old warning stripes as well, just to sort of add to the effect that these are toxic barrels and shouldn't be messed with. Okay, so that's all our separate components done. Now it's a case of putting them all together. So I had a cunning plan. I'm going to use these, well, cake sort of rubber plastic Dubry Watsits. Yeah, you know what I mean, silicone rubber. Obviously the good thing with these is they do sort of take some heat because they go in the oven, and obviously it is a lovely round looking thing, which should really come away from the two-part resin really nicely, as well. These are sort of non-stick sort of stuff. So I'm trying out this high gloss epoxy resin from JDiction, as this is a kind of a deep pour one, well, as in a good few inches anyway. And yeah, it's nice and simple because there's like part A, part B, and these are mixed in equal parts, which is nice. So you don't need any scales for this. It is a case of, well, measuring out two equal amounts. I'm also going to add a couple of drops of this Raging Sea paint, just so the resin has a little look of, well, being the sea. So taking these equal parts, I've got a nice, well, I say big jug. It's the biggest jug I could find. And yeah, it is a case of measuring out equal amounts. So I'm going to go for 200 of each, just as this does give me a bit of room, so when I am mixing it up, yeah, it's not going to all pour out the sides. I will leave links down below, guys, so you can check out this JDiction gloss epoxy resin, as well as all the other sort of bits and pieces they do. So one thing I don't really have is a proper stirrer. So as you can see, I'm using this bit of wood. Although I did notice when I'd finished doing all this, I think there was a bit of dirt or something in the wood, as there's a few little bits here and there in the end result. Nothing too bad, nothing too major, but yeah, next time I will use a spoon or maybe even a whisk, as that would have been a lot easier, because this stuff is quite thick, which is good. But yeah, you do need to stir it and stir it and stir it, and yeah, I had to keep taking breaks every now and then because my wrist was hurting. Oh, bless me. So yeah, just put a few little drops in. I think I did like 3 drops because I had to do 2 lots, well, I think it's 2.5 lots of this to fill the sort of the diorama that I was going for. So again, if I'm going to do more of these, I will get some sort of larger larger bowls and things to mix stuff in, just as it would be nice to have mixed it all in one go. But yeah, for that I definitely would get some sort of whisk that maybe I could attach to my little drill to have made that a whole lot easier. So yeah, here goes the fun bit. This is the bit that I was excited for and dreading. But yeah, so the reviews on this resin seem really good. And yeah, so the fact that JDiction have been around for ages, and this is kind of what they do, is make epoxy resins. So yeah, as you can see, pouring, it loads in, and I say it took up 2 lots of this stuff. So when you first pour it, there are quite a lot of air bubbles, but the funny thing is you can just see them almost like popping and disappearing. So they do go away pretty quickly. Although I'm not sure if the Army Painter speed paint mixed in fully, as yeah, you can definitely see sort of little dots of blue or black all over the place. So yeah, so I think this may well have been the paint. So I'm going to look for, well, paint that you do normally put in with epoxy resin, and see if that works better than the speed paint that I used. Or it might just have been the Raging Sea one. And again, it might well be that wooden stick. Might not have been the best choice of stirrers. So as you can see, all the bubbles have sort of floated to the top. And I say, it was watching like the old like Snap, Crackle, Pop cereal. Yeah, they were just sort of popping left, right and centre. So this is when I thought I'd put my little barrels in. Obviously some of them are just going to like float around. So it was just a case of putting them where I wanted them to start. And then yeah, they just sort of moved around kind of on their own accord. And then I used some Army Painter war paints, but these are for, well, they're for the air guns or spray guns even. So they are a little bit sort of diluted, but these are fluorescent ones, which I thought would be pretty cool, as obviously they're going to be like vibrant colours. And say if this is meant to be like a toxic waste, then yeah, I definitely want it to be vibrant, strong, and look like it's going to melt, well, melt anything it touches. You can see the paint just kind of like sits there. So yeah, I haven't got any toothpicks for some reason. I couldn't find any toothpicks, so I'm just using my blade just to sort of mix up the paint and move it around a little bit, give it a bit of a swirl, and try and sort of like drag it onto some of the barrels, just so it looks like it has kind of leaked out. But in a way, it's kind of good that it doesn't sort of mix too well with the resin, as it does look like it's sort of floating, and you can make it sort of spread out and separate. And yeah, pretty pleased with the kind of result that it was giving, really. So I left it overnight, yeah, good sort of 24 hours, although I did notice after about 12 hours it seemed to have pretty much cured. Although it did go a little bit weird at the back there, it kind of like sunk in. I'm not too sure why, but yeah, it all seems pretty good. So I also got this high viscosity UV resin from JDiction, and yeah, this seems like a real good sort of choice to use as a filler here, but you will see me use this in a minute just to add some, well, some good old water splash effects. So poured it in, it kind of like self levels, although I did give the thing a little shake, and the second bit I did, and then yeah, good old UV light, only takes sort of seconds to cure it, and yeah, this is the bit that I was really excited about, the fact that using this sort of silicone mould, this thing just pops out a treat. So I didn't have any like plastic sheets to have like tried to glue together in like a box, but yeah, I did have some of these. And I say, this just made things so much easier, as it does just literally pop out. And obviously the good thing here is there's no damage to anything, and these silicone moulds can be used, well, again and again and again. And then yeah, there we go, it popped out a treat. So really pleased how it's come out. Looks lovely and clear. It dries really well. So the only problem was there are quite a few little black bits in there, or dark blue. And I think that is from the Army Painter speed paints not quite sort of mixing with the two-part epoxy resin. So definitely going to try something different for next time. But other than that, yeah, I'm really pleased with this stuff from JDiction, and I've got a couple of big bottles of this stuff, so I will be doing, well, more dioramas. So obviously the top is very flat, which, well, it shouldn't be, because this is out at sea and this creature is obviously making a bit of a ruckus here. So I'm using this Vallejo water texture to, well, give it some water texture. Yeah, so this stuff, it kind of looks like face cream, although I certainly wouldn't put it on my face. And yeah, it's a case of I'm using a bit of an old brush here that I use for, well, anything that I don't really care about the brush getting damaged or messed up from. And yeah, this stuff comes out really thick. So it is just a case of, well, splodging it around. I don't know if that's a technical term or not, but yeah, I'm splodging. And I'm splodging this stuff everywhere. So obviously it goes on white, but just like the good old cheap kids PVA glue, when this stuff dries, it does go lovely and clear. And yeah, this part, I was really happy now that the UV resin worked really well, and I was just having fun, well, making some waves. So while I'm letting that dry, I want to have some more fun and make them look like there is some sort of splashes going on, and just some sort of water drips on the old creature. And this high viscosity UV resin is great for doing that, as well, it's lovely and thick, so you can get quite a bit of time for it to sort of start dripping. Get the UV light on it, and then hopefully you can catch it midway like this. Yeah, I love it. Say, instant sort of water drips, very quick, very easy, and obviously this stuff you can put, well, wherever you feel there should be some water drips. So yeah, a little bit at the front of the boat, even though I have got some of the water texture stuff there from Vallejo. But yeah, I want to put more sort of like splashes and water stuff, and drips and all the rest. Although I might get myself a stronger UV torch. This is only a cheap little one, and by cheap and little, I think it was about £6 for this thing. So obviously the more expensive ones, it will be a stronger, brighter UV light, just to sort of capture everything a lot quicker. And there we go, I love it. Yeah, I think it's come out really well. I'm really impressed with the epoxy resin. Definitely going to be doing some more videos and things with that. So yeah guys, if anything you want to sort of see me do with the epoxy resin, by all means let me know in the comments, as yeah, I want to do, well, some rather special effects with it, or dioramas, or just, well, just play around with it. So yeah, the UV light, or the fluorescent lights there, They come up really well with the UV torch over them. Certainly look toxic. Really pleased with how the rest of the sort of the waves have hardened and dried. The old water texture stuff from Vallejo, and yeah, the UV resin. I love that for the drips. I think that's just so quick, easy. And guys, you know I love stuff that's quick and easy but gives awesome results. And yeah, that UV resin certainly does. So yeah, guys, check out all the links down below to all the products that I use. I'm affiliates with some of them, and some of them are just, well, links to what I use because you guys like to know what it is I use. There's another video on the screen, guys. Give that a click, see more what I do. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave comments. Big shout out and thank you to all my lovely patrons and my monthly sponsors. As yeah, without you guys, I wouldn't be able to keep having fun and doing what I love. Okay guys, you take care. See you in the next one. Bye for now.